Hey everybody, welcome to the woods. This is part of a bigger woodland called Warren Hill, and this little section is called Jenner's Wood, named after a former forester. Now where I'm standing saw an extinction of subsistence lifeway in the early 1800s. Before then, local families would have had rights in common to use this land no matter who owned it. Those rights would have included grazing, collecting firewood, etc. In the early 1800s, the local landowners essentially enclosed, privatised these woodlands, built up banks, put in fences, and excluded those with common rights to access what they have been doing since time immemorial. What the landowner did here was plant trees for forestry. Now, the landscape in the early 1800s would have been a lot different. There would have been more light within these trees. There would have been open areas of heather, shrubs, gorse, wetter areas, small areas of woods, little copses, etc. And behind me we have just the tree crop, Corsican pine and beech, both producing a heavy shade. Now, part of my work here is to try and open up these woodlands to allow more light to get down to the woodland floor. And there's one particular being that I have a focus on, and that focus is wood ants. Now, they generally live on the edge of these forests. You might have seen them if you've been walking around. They're quite widespread across Europe, and they build their nests out of leaves, leaf litter, pine needles, and you may have noticed trails of ants going from the nest and to the nest. Sometimes they go up to the tops of trees and forage for aphids and milk them, essentially farming them. I wonder if that's where we got our idea of farmings from. And you can see them taking all of the food back to their nests. Now, they need light, and when the woodlands are like this, there is no light. So I've been slowly over time breaking apart the canopy, letting in more light. I'm just going to walk over to one of our chestnut coppices. Now, sweet chestnut, introduced by the Romans about 2,000 years ago, coppices really well. So when you cut it back, it sends out new shoots and sprouts, reaching for the light. And so what happens within these woodlands is the ants follow this light around. So I'm just going to turn the camera around, and you can see our chestnut trees all growing with an understory of holly. It's very dark in there. But what happens when we open this canopy up? And I'm just going to show you, we suddenly get light, which means regeneration. And where there's light within these woodlands, we have ants' nests. Now, I have the remains of an ant's nest here. It's a bit tricky to see, but these piles and needles are remains of an ant's nest, and they would have used this log as well. In fact, they were in here because this will give more warmth to them. So essentially build these sloping mounds, because what they need is they need warmth for the larvae to develop. And so under this nest I've just shown you, the larvae and the queens are probably still under there overwintering, waiting for the spring and for more light. So I don't just sort of cutting down these trees willy-nilly. You know, these are my kin here. But what we do use them for is we do use them to make fencing, especially for projects around the woodland and the farm that we look after here too as well.